Hi everyone. Please excuse my appearance. It's been another long, hard, hot day in the shop and I'm really spent. But I did want to get a couple of thoughts out. Yesterday I made a private message, a video message for Karen S. with regards to a couple of questions she had asked me. And I did want to express a couple of those thoughts publicly. So basically the topic was changing worldviews in a debate. And in the recent debate with Bruggencate and the Realistic Nihilist on the Bible Thumping Wingnut show, the Realistic Nihilist had sort of changed worldviews mid-debate, and Cy basically shut the debate down at that point and basically said, if you're going to argue for something that you don't even believe in, then I'm not going to waste my time with you. Now, I think that there is some validity in switching worldviews in a debate if it's to make a point. We deal in hypotheticals all the time, and I think it's valid to engage in thought experiments as a way of reaching a further understanding. So, for instance, in the recent debate between FSX23 and David, they were asking David to imagine or to imagine a world or think about what it would look like if their God wasn't actually omniscient, but just thought that he was. Or whether their God could be a trickster God, or whether Satan could be fooling them. And, excuse me, there's a bee. The joys of cutting a video outside. And they wouldn't even entertain it. They wouldn't even go down any of those hypothetical roads. They could not engage in the thought experiment. Now, I haven't decided whether this is because they have an inability to, because their presupposition is so deep, or whether it's because they just simply don't want to. Because I think deep down they may understand what that would reveal. So to sort of illustrate the validity of a thought experiment like that, how much different would it look if Satan had written the Bible, if it was all a trick of Satan? And I think that we probably, since Satan is, I guess, somewhat superior to us, being that he's a fallen angel, I guess, I don't know, he probably could pull it off. Now, of course, if you ask these people who say that the Bible is the mark of the beast, that basically say that anyone who believes in the Bible or utilizes the Bible is actually guilty of idol worship and is going to hell, that they would agree with that. Even Bruggencate himself has said that he denies the extra-biblical revelation claims of Sir Isaac Newton, basically saying that God is not an active player in modern times. And pretty much every theist would agree that Satan is an active player in modern times, assuming that either of these characters even exist, of course. And they'll cherry pick. I was watching some videos the other day. I may do some videos on this guy. He's quite interesting. His video was entitled "The Origin of Scientism." another wonderful word, scientism. And he was talking about all the science that's basically of Satan, and it's faulty science and it's flawed science. A little bit of cherry picking going on there, but of course, basically the overarching sentiment there is that the devil is an active player, and he's a deceiver, and he's out to deceive mankind. So I think it's a valid thought experiment to ask the question, could your scripture actually be a product of the devil, and how would you know the difference? Now, of course, they don't want to engage in these thought experiments for those very reasons. And this sort of gets into my second point, which is related, and that is the Bible Study 101, which I'd like to sign up for. Whenever there's a atheist-theist discussion, the theists always say that the atheists want us to leave the Bible behind. They want us basically to assume atheism, and then we can argue. And I don't think that's really true. I think what people are asking them is to just let's deal in the natural world for a little bit, and this is something completely valid. We're not asking you to assume anything that we can't demonstrate. And certainly theists are asking atheists to hypothesize or to engage in thought experiments about the biblical teachings. I was just watching the Ann Barnhart video the other day where she talks about, just imagine the first 15 seconds in hell, So they're definitely asking us to hypothesize. And of course, if we get into a discussion with a presuppositional apologist, they're going to say, that God exists because it's written in Scripture. And if we say, okay, that's fine, let's unpack that, we'd like to talk about that, suddenly that's shut down. That's fodder for a Bible study. That's not something I'm going to discuss with an unbeliever. Interesting. I thought you just said that I was a believer. Interesting. Strange. It's an obvious evasion tactic, of course, because they don't like what's going to happen if we go down that road. And so even Cy has admitted himself that he's had great frustration early in his apologetic career when he was more of an evidential apologist, because he kept getting everything thrown back in his face. And that's why the obtuse, arrogant, apologetic argument that you see now is what he's morphed into, because he would rather just shut people down with arrogance and bravado and make sure that they don't get to ask any questions. Just like the recent video that I just saw with Vanessa and Cy ten Bruggencate, I'll post a link below, where every time she tries to ask him to defend his worldview, he just shuts her down with more questions. Oh, so you believe in truth? You know, the same thing we've always seen. So I would like to officially, I'd like to officially sign up for Bible study class. In a recent discussion I was watching with Cy ten Bruggencate and a Pastor Rappaport on YouTube, they were talking about engaging atheists, and they said, you know, these atheists always want us to leave the Bible behind if we're going to discuss. Well, no, actually, I would like the Bible to take center stage, and I think most atheists would actually agree with me on that. Let's let it be the centerpiece to this discussion. But of course, they're not going to want to do that. Thanks everyone for watching. Have a great weekend. So, any of you new to my channel may notice a couple of things about me. The one is I have a tendency to do postscripts. I probably shouldn't sign off on videos because I usually tend to think of something else and I want to tack it on at the end. The other thing about me is I'm a bit of a stream of consciousness kind of guy, so I don't really pre-script my videos at all. I usually just have a general idea, a topic, and I just go from there. So I'm not all that polished. Hopefully the content makes up for it to some degree. I also noticed today that I'm up over 500 subscriptions for the first time, and so again, a warm thank you to Brett Palmer and Wildwood Claire and Vertical Cadence and anyone else who has shouted me out or mentioned me in any of their uploads. I really, really appreciate it, and I appreciate all the new subscribers and your thoughtful comments. It really means a lot, and it's very encouraging. So on to the postscript. I was discussing some presuppositional apologetics with, I believe it was Our Godless World, in the comments section of another upload. We were talking about the irony of Cy ten Bruggencate denying the extra-biblical claims of divine revelation of Sir Isaac Newton. And I think it is a rich irony that here's a guy steeped in special pleading denying other theists his special pleading. I always like to watch these theists, even ones from the same Christian worldview, who have slightly different positions, all sort of throwing, the accusations that each other are going to hell, right? And of course, they all expect us to listen to their particular position as though it's somehow factual and completely in evidence. And of course, Cy has talked about his own presuppositional apologetic as not being there to convince anybody, because it's not possible for him to convince anybody or to convert anybody, but it's the job of his presuppositional apologetic to shut mouths. Well, that hasn't exactly worked now, has it? Thanks everyone for watching. Have a great day.